I think we're going to see a change in the scale at which we inhabit the landscape. And we're going to return to much more traditional forms. The basic unit of the human habitation is really the neighborhood. And one neighborhood is a village, and several neighborhoods is a town. And many neighborhoods and some special use districts are cities. And one thing I think we will be seeing along with this is a reversal of the roughly 200-year trend of masses of people moving from the country and the small towns to the big cities. I think we'll see that reverse, and people will move from the big cities to the smaller towns and hamlets and back into the rural landscape. We're going to, first of all, we're going to need a lot more people working in agriculture if we're going to feed ourselves, or even a fraction of ourselves. It's going to probably be necessary. And at the same time, and the cities are probably going to contract. We're not going to have the mega colossal cities of the 20th century. The cities that are overburdened with mega structures are probably going to be in trouble, or more trouble than the others, because we don't have reason to believe that we can run the Trump Tower or the Empire State Building on anything other than fossil fuels. We're not going to run them on solar panels, and we're not going to run them on turbines. So what happens to those things is totally, anybody's guess. Where, substantial towns are concerned, if we have any substantial towns and cities, I think that you'll see a limit on the height, not a legal limit, but I think a practical limit of maybe 5 or 6 stories, maybe 7 at the most. And I would actually be inclined to think it would be, probably 3 and 4 will be more normal, because that's really what you get in, a low energy society. And we'll be lucky if we can relearn how to do that. And I do think that the cities, even as they contract severely, will probably re-densify at their centers and maybe along the waterfronts. But at the same time, a lot of the fabric is going to be abandoned, I think. And there are going to be some cities in North America that are simply going to dry up and blow away. Phoenix, forget about it, because they're going to have... we have all these multi-layered building codes and zoning laws which rigorously mandate the outcome that we've been getting, which is basically the suburban pattern and all the stuff that's in it. I think we're moving into a period of time where we're going to start ignoring the codes. I don't think that the laws and the codes are going to be reformed. They're not going to be rewritten. They're not going to be changed, but they'll be ignored. And I think what you'll see is a general recognition throughout the culture that we simply can't afford to follow these rules anymore. The fact of the matter is that, a lot of them are in place. A lot of the building codes are in place for fire and safety reasons. There were good reasons for doing them, although they've really gone overboard. Then there are other layers of things. Since the initial fire and safety laws were created, there's been a whole other layer of laws that were created simply out of a fear of lawyers, a fear of people being sued. And we now do things that are, so triple and quadruple, what is needed to make something safe, that it's gotten ridiculous. So I think we'll see that happening, and that will probably allow for a lot of, in some ways, maybe better work. It always amazes me when you go around your town and you look at the buildings that were built in the early 20th century, in like 1911, the banks, the firehouses, they're all marvelously beautiful buildings. And they were all built without codes, without design review, without multi-layered permitting processes and approval processes. And yet, if you look at the stuff that came out of the multi-layered approval processes, they all look like muffler shops or forensic pathology labs. You literally can't tell the difference between the Motor Vehicle Bureau and an expensive hotel, because the architecture is just so bad. And the vernacular wisdom about how to do it has been lost. And that's why it's been such a disaster for history to be thrown in the garbage bin by, the modernists of the 20th century, because we took a great deal of successful wisdom about how to construct a human habitat, and we just tossed it out for the sake of following the new world order of traffic engineering. And that's what our world has been built on, since 1950. And the results are clear for anybody to see. Ultimately, everything vanishes. Ultimately, the sun becomes a red giant, and the Earth turns into a little fiery ball of lint. So, but it is very important that there are thousands and millions of years between now and then, and there are things worth preserving. And it depends whether you think that the project of civilization is worth carrying on. I do. I'm among the people who think that it does have value. The whole question of human nature and the savagery of human nature is perhaps something that we also have to reflect on, because despite the existence of civilization, the savagery of human nature has continued, and it's something that is very troubling.